Cynthia. How are you?
I'm great. So today we've got a great topic, filling up your creative cup. I feel like we're just not naturally we don't talk about this enough, right? And we got inspired to talk about this because we started talking about the things that
We're
we
like, we
do when we're not
we're
doing
like,
our
we can't talk anymore if we're not on the podcast because we have great ideas.
Welcome to Marketing Duo Podcast, the podcast for marketing experts Cynthia of Digital Bloom IQ and Jen of Jen Vasquez Media come together to share their wealth of knowledge and insights on scaling your business.
Each episode, we are diving into the latest marketing strategies, mindset shifts, and growth tactics specifically designed for ambitious female founders who are tech savvy and eager to enhance their marketing game.
Whether you're looking to fine tune your approach or discover innovative ways to accelerate your business, the Digital Marketing Duo provides actionable tips and inspiring conversations to help you reach your goals.
Tune in for a blend of practical advice and empowering discussions tailored to help you thrive in an ever evolving digital landscape.
So Jen, tell me, okay, so wait, let's first talk about why this is important. I think that's where we should start. Why do you think it's important to take this time each week? Because you do so much in your business. I don't know how you do it. And you sleep at
I
night, right? Like, I
do.
just
I
want to
get
make
a
sure you
good
get.
7, 8 hours, and I only need 5, but I get a good 7, 8 hours unless I have a good book. But I I feel like we talk a lot on this podcast, not just about marketing, but also mindset. It
Yeah.
was really important for us to talk
Mhm.
about that. And what
Yeah.
I know and what science tells us is that you are often not able to be creative in the spur of the moment when you need to. That oftentimes our
Yes.
brains need to be silenced or switch up what you're doing, taking a walk, going to the
Yeah.
bathroom, taking a shower. Like there's a lot of things. Those are typically when ideas will hit us. And if we don't
Mhm.
have that space, that self care time, you tend to feel more burned out and unable to be creative. You can sit there. I mean, I can picture this in my mind sitting there with like that blinking arrow cursor, right? Blinking cursor, like, okay, I got to write a podcast. Like, what am I doing? Right. So I would say, first and foremost, it's important for your mind. And also, I think it's a preventative for you being overwhelmed or burnt out.
Yeah. I was also thinking on my corporate job, there was very much, and coming out of corporate too, I'm still kind of working on this, is this badge of honor around workaholism.
It's everywhere.
um,
It's everywhere on social media.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons I actually, one of the many, many reasons, but I live in Argentina because here it's such a different culture and people know how to take breaks. Like even my partner, the way in the morning he drinks his mate and he just, I'm like wanting to rush him sometimes and I'm like, "No, this is his moment because then he goes to work and he's super productive, right?" And I'm like, so I feel like I'm still working on this, but I'm switching my mindset of like of passionate and focused is way better than, yeah, burning out, like running on, whatever fumes, whatever that means, especially as a mom of a 2-year-old, right? Like I feel like I'm constantly having to remind myself there's nothing glamorous around being just worked to the bone and feeling like if I want to pull an all-nighter because I'm feeling passionate about something, that's great. But it's not this like this thing I'm striving for. You know what I mean? Like a reality I'm wanting to repeat or
Yeah.
over and
I
over
mean,
again.
I started my photography business leaving corporate America in 2009 because I was tired of going to work before my kids woke up, all 4 of them, coming
Mm,
home when at least my younger ones were already asleep. So they just didn't even see me that
wow.
day. And I was
Right.
managing a team of 15 people for marketing and sales. And I was like, no. And I went into the
Right.
office and gave my notice at my job much to my husband's surprise. And I was like, "I know marketing. I've been photographing on the side for 4 or 5 years. I'm gonna make this work." And which is
Yeah,
great. But then in the beginning of my business, I hit that wall where I was working all the time and not seeing my kids still. Like
yeah. Right,
it's really hard. So now I take Tuesdays off to play with my grandchildren, and I have nothing planned on Saturdays and Sundays so that I can work if I want to. If my husband's playing video games and we're not
right.
playing together, I'll sit on my laptop getting work done. So it's I get to the Saturdays and Sundays are I get to
Choose.
choose and work on whatever I want. Like it gives me this freedom,
Yes.
and that is the only way that I'm not a workaholic, because I lean toward being a
Yeah,
workaholic. My personality,
yeah, me
my
too.
wanting my clients to succeed, like, that is something I always
Mhm,
will go to, sadly, so I have to
mhm.
control it
Yeah.
each week.
Yeah. And I will say, again, before we get into our
Yes.
actual, like, filling cup items, because we have a few, I will say one differentiator for me, especially in this phase of life of being a new mom and stuff, is I'm very, very conscientious of, like, how I spend my free time. So I recently, again, turned to my partner, I was like, "You know what? I'm okay with us not watching Netflix every night of the week. I prefer us to actually go to bed or spend that extra time where Fran is, like, still awake and she wants to be awake because she doesn't wanna sleep because she's a two-year-old and whatever, the resistance, and, like, let's just go to bed earlier, like, let's just embrace this moment of life, like, if I need to finish something up quickly on my computer, I will. If I have to wake up early, I will. But I'm really trying to be very conscious of, like, again, like, this kind of look at me like I'm working crazy hours. I'm not working crazy hours at all. Like, I feel like it's just this logic that we've created for ourselves where it's like this is the only way to, like, fame or success, and it's like no, it's not. There's really so many other ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I there were times, not now, because 'cause I'm really good at it
Yeah.
now, but there were times when my husband would be like, "Hey, stranger, like, what I haven't seen you, it feels like, in a week, and we sleep in the same bed." Like, it's you know what I mean? Or
Right.
he's trying to go to sleep and I still need to work, so I go into the living room. Like, I don't do that anymore. And I think since my grandchildren were born, it just really
Aw,
helped me to crystallize what's important. And, we all talk about
yeah,
our why in our job, and my
yeah.
why is saving up to buy land up north where my kids can put
Mm,
vacation homes on and we can all get together. That's my why, and I'm not gonna get there by working myself into the ground. I just won't.
yeah, yeah. Last thing, I just wanted to share a quick story because I don't know why I got really passionate about this. I was listening to a podcast, again, maybe a few years into my business. I was listening to, like, one of these pretty well-known female whatever founder, and she was saying they were talking about a launch. One of the women was interviewing the other woman who was doing a launch, and she just casually shared with the audience that, like, a week into her launch, she was hospitalized because she was, like, dehydrated and she, like, fainted because she wasn't eating properly, and they just kinda kept talking, and she's like, "And then I kept working from the hospital, and then, my launch was great." And I was like, I stopped that episode right there. I, like, deleted it from my phone. I think I unsubscribed. I was so angry that they didn't talk about that. And that was like, again, that was, yeah, like, it was a good thing. I was like, oh, yeah, that's what you have to do to get to that point. You got to get
That
hospitalized. So I was
is
like, how has this
and
happened?
that's
Well, I've heard
it's
that a few times.
shameful.
Yeah.
It's
It's,
shameful
yeah.
because people look up to those people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we want you to know
Hmm.
that on our podcast, we want you okay, because your business will be okay
Yes.
if you're okay. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
I'm happy that you said that story. That's very sad. And but, we see that all over Instagram, right? People are like, "10K months, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, she's, like, hunched over at 4 in the morning, like, that's not helpful. It's
Right.
not helpful.
Yeah.
And just like you did, deleting that episode or deleting that podcast from your
Mhm.
playlist, I feel like
Mhm.
we need we need more positivity and more, work-life
Yeah.
balance, which is a misnomer anyway,
Mhm.
like, it's impossible to achieve.
Mhm.
but we need to really worry about ourselves first. I think that's a
Yes.
really, really good point.
Yeah, again, I feel like the instead of this alcoholism, no, workaholism, like this sort of burnout conversation, it's more like passion and focus. Like I absolutely my focus is my daughter, my family, then my business, and I will not do other things in my life right now because my business is important to me or my daughter's important to me. That's different than like burning out or yeah, not eating or not, getting enough sleep. If you're doing a launch, maybe you are working a little bit more, but that's different than this
Going to the
like
hospital,
constant sort
that's
of thing.
different.
Yeah.
And I will point out too, you and I thought long and hard about doing this podcast because
Yeah.
we are very
Yes.
protective of our time.
Mhm.
And, but we
Yes.
have these great conversations anyway. So we're like, let's just
Yes.
hit record when we're having them. And we're scheduling these in a way on our calendar that works for us, get them done and
Yes.
get them moving forward. And if I didn't have a team or you didn't have a team, we probably wouldn't be doing it. I'm being honest. As
Yeah.
much as I would want to,
Yeah.
we would not.
Yeah, we're at a stage where we can run, multiple podcasts
Yeah.
sustainably. But at the beginning, I was focused on one podcast, and I think that was fine, right? So you do things in different, like I don't know, when my daughter starts going to more of school next year, I'll be able to do different things. But I guess it's about finding what's going to work with your reality right now. And that doesn't mean, not eating, getting hospitalized.
Oh,
Like,
so bad. I'm really happy that you brought that up though, because I feel like
yeah,
more people need to call that out online. And I'm not saying for you to
yeah,
call that person
yeah.
out. I'm just saying talk about
No,
this
yeah.
more. So I'm excited that we got to talk about it.
Yeah, there's other options. There's other options. You don't need to glorify and maybe the rest of that episode might have had other good tidbits about our launch, but, like, I personally don't want to listen to someone who's, that lifestyle. I want a different lifestyle. Like you said, like, I wanna be able to spend time with my family and have the option. Weekends are tricky for me. I feel very called to work on my business, but because my family is
Yeah.
at home, many times I'm just spending time with them, but I don't regret anything. I guess what might happen sometimes is my partner will take my daughter out and then I'll work on my
And
business or
I
something
will
or
point out that when you're a mom in particular, because I'm very familiar
Yeah.
with that, oftentimes we're working after they go to bed or we're working during nap time or
Yes.
working on the weekend if
Yeah.
our partner, husband
Yeah.
takes our child somewhere, like,
Mhm.
um
There's
no
flexibility. Yes.
schedule is perfect for
Mhm.
everyone. You have to
Yeah.
have that conversation with your partner or your husband or your wife.
Yeah.
Have that conversation and make your business work around your life. I think that's the bottom line, right?
Yes.
So many people are so eager to get their business off the ground that they're willing to
Mhm.
put that extra time in, but how long?
Mhm.
3 months? 6 months? A year? Like, you
Yeah.
figure it out, but figure it out what works for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it can be like one thing I've really gotten good at is being nimble. Like 30 minutes, if she's still sleeping in the morning, 30 minutes is 30 minutes. I'm going in and like I'm going to do a task that not like a
Yes.
deep focus task
No.
because that doesn't make sense, but a task I can go in and like answer a few messages, get into maybe some email or just post like my reel for the day, my TikTok for the day. Like I've realized I used to think, "Oh, I need like this long stretch of time." No, like if you're working full time somewhere else, like what are the little bits of time that you can do to get things going cuz every drop counts. Like we all start just doing little things and that's how it builds up to I have now 300 episodes. I can't believe it. It's just
I know I'm at
insane.
240. So we're it's wild. It's wild. And I also think,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
I really recognize the point that you made in that when you get really good at fitting your business in with your family life, you do more in the limited time that you have than you could do
Yeah.
normally. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Oh my god.
have
Yeah.
kids at home. I have grandkids, right? I don't have kids at home. So I
Mhm.
can work crazy hours. I still wanna check in with my husband. I
Mhm.
wanna make sure that if he needs me time, I'm doing it. Like
He
20,
recognizes you.
27 years of marriage, I'm not gonna ruin that with my job, but But I find that when I was beginning, it would take me 10 hours to do something that now will take an hour, right? So celebrate those
Exactly.
little
Yeah.
wins that you don't think about
Yeah.
and, fit the time in when you
Yeah.
can. That's good.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about our fill up the cup items.
So, what are the items that give your mental state and your whole being a feeling of relaxed happiness and that positive kind of vibe? I'll start
Yes.
off. This
Yes.
is really silly, but I get my eyelashes done, and I know that it feels so weird, right? But for me, it enables me. I have 2 autoimmune diseases, so my lashes are very, very sparse, and it's something that makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm on video almost every single day, either coaching or
Yeah.
recording or whatever. I can wake up and it looks like I have good lashes. And so for me, that every 2 weeks, I have an hour. I call it my lash nap because I listen to a good podcast or a book, and I feel like I can take the world on. And it's so simple and it's
Yeah.
so little, but that's one for me. What's one for
Oh my god, I love that, Jen. I'm so glad you started with that. Yeah, whatever is gonna get you, because we are, most of us, working from home, right? And there is I've done it myself, you could just keep the pajamas on, or like just get on like just really comfortable joggings. Like I do that many days. But what is gonna make you feel like you are going into your work environment, right? Like whether it is eyelashes, your nails, like putting on makeup, not hair, like whatever is gonna get you like kind of turned on
Yeah,
in a way, because you want to be, it's not even about how you look, it's how you feel, right?
absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So whatever's going to get you in that good feeling, and maybe it is a hoodie and like a bun, I don't know, like it doesn't matter, and you can, the cool thing is you can play with that, you can experiment, right? And it can be like a
And
fun
no,
thing.
and I wanna make sure
Um
that people know as well that before I even started
yeah.
having my eyelashes done, I still showed up, even uncomfortable.
Of
So
course.
just as
Of
a
course.
heads
Yeah.
up, and I have my days where I have
Yeah.
0 makeup, my hair's in a messy, messy
Mhm.
bun, and I'm in a
Yeah.
sweatshirt, and I'll still show up. My
Yeah.
daughter will say,
Yes.
"Mom, why did you post that video? Like, look at you." And I'm like, "Babe, I'm being authentic." And by the way, those
Yeah,
videos get the
consistency.
best analytics. Go figure, right? Because they know, man, if she showed up like that, she's serious about whatever she's sharing.
I love that. No, I think that it's so true. I don't know, your audience appreciates that, right? And I follow many, many, many women who I've seen them from their bed. I don't do videos from bed, but whatever.
Yes.
Everybody has to find their vulnerability, right? But I love the videos where they don't have any makeup and it looks like they just woke up and they're sharing something that they're passionate about. And I'm like, I feel like I just know this person. And then I love when they're like fully glammed up too. Like you get to see all those angles, right? And it gets to be beautiful. Oh, I love that. Okay. So for me recently, especially, yeah, my mom stuff is going to the gym and just moving my body. Like getting into, I take those classes where they put really loud music on and you're like doing cross body work, and I feel like I stop thinking about everything in my life. I like stop thinking about my business, about my family in a good
No, of
way, right? It
course.
sounds like I'm not escaping, but it just allows me that, like that almost meditative state of focusing on what's happening, because she's telling us to like do something where it's like I can only feel my arm, it's like a lot of work. And the adrenaline, right, of getting the exercise, it's just incredible. So that has really lately been like I've really committed to, 2 of those classes a week, make a really great, sometimes I go once and that's fine, like I do what I can. And then with that, on that note, is yoga. I also go to yoga once a week. And that is also a space for me to be present with my, I have more thoughts coming up during yoga, but I just, you feel so incredible after, like, you just feel like you've been in a spa experience, so that to me makes a big, it's like my non-negotiables to be able to show up and, give in the way I wanna
Yeah.
give.
I think another one for me is reading. I read about 3 books a week. It used to be that
That's
it used to
insane,
be that it
Jen.
was business books, because I was so eager to, like, just learn everything I can, and now
Mhm.
that makes me anxious. Isn't it funny how things
Yes.
change?
It's
Even
yes.
sometimes some podcasts make me feel less than, right? And anything that makes me
Mhm.
feel less than is not something I want in my week every week. So
Yeah.
for me, reading, you know, dark romantic books, it's completely different than what my job is or my life for that matter. It gets me out of my head. And my husband just, I don't know, a couple months ago said, "You're, like, happier. Like, love I love you reading." Like, anybody that knows me business-wise, I'm a super positive person, but my husband gets to see
Yeah.
the not so positive side of me, right?
Everything.
And so he's like, "Let's just increase that book budget because it's making all the difference in the world." I have some of my best
You're
business ideas either when I'm reading or, like, right when I wake up in the morning. I don't know what it is, and
Mm.
only if I have a good night's sleep. If I don't, nothing's there.
Yeah.
And so I will
Yeah.
typically 2 to 3 times a week, I will do yoga in the morning so that I let that
Yeah.
idea sort of marinate before I jump. Because my
Yes.
normal reaction was to grab my laptop or my phone, and I'm
Yeah.
scrolling through emails, and I'm looking at so, like, I
Mhm.
cannot start my morning like that anymore. It makes
Mhm.
me a not happy person. I have to
Yeah.
work harder at it, right? And so,
Yeah.
that really that's where I get most of my ideas as well as my baths. I take baths even in the summer. I'll have the air conditioner on, but I'm taking a bath. Baths are the thing that is my biggest self-care in that and I will
Mm.
either listen to a book or listen to a podcast, like murder mystery stuff. Anything that's not like real
Mhm.
life, that's what takes me out of my head.
Oh my god, I love that so much. So you're doing Audible, right, with all your
No, I'm
books?
now doing Kindle. I used to do Audible,
Ah,
and,
Kindle.
when I'm doing Audible, I don't retain as much as if I read.
Mm.
And now I don't normally need to retain, but I'm doing a podcast on reading, so now I need to. So now I'm Kindle, and sometimes, like, for my lash nap
Yeah.
this weekend, there's a way to click and hold on your Kindle, and it'll bring up, like, a little triangle to play, and it's a robotic voice,
Mm.
and I don't recommend it all the time, but
Mm.
it was kinda nice to, like, listen to it as I was taking my lash nap.
You read, like, you
Yeah, I used to
read.
do Audible all the
Mm.
time, and I switched about a month ago, and I'm now doing Kindle. Plus, you have Kindle Unlimited,
Mhm.
so it's like you get a certain number of books at any time, and most books are on there. So then I'm only
Yeah.
having to pay that once a month thing, and I love physical books, but I find that it's
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
hard to be dragging it
Yeah.
everywhere instead of being able to, like, look
Yeah.
on my phone or my iPad for reading.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, I love that. No, I love reading too, it's hard to read with a
I didn't
toddler,
read as much with
but
little ones,
but
I'll tell you that right now, because I kept getting interrupted and forgetting my keys and having to reread stuff so often or fall asleep reading. I'm like, I set a timer now.
I think I pull out the book and then maybe I get, like, a page a day or
And then
something.
it takes you, like, 2 months to finish a book. Yeah, not fun.
But hey, I like it anyway. Sometimes I get 2, 3 pages, I mean,
Yeah,
who knows? Yeah, I mean, the other thing I wanna also for me, a big one is just watching movies and series, like, I do watch a little bit during the day, not at night, but, like, I'll have, like, a 15-minute break and I'll watch, like, a Sex and the City.
love that.
I've started watching one that was, like, a witches thing on
Oh, All
Disney.
About
So,
Agatha?
like
I love
yes,
that
I love that
series.
one. So, I try to watch things that aren't real I mean, Sex and the City, I guess,
Yeah,
could be real
it's
life,
not
but
real life.
anything that gets me a little bit of that brain free time, I think that that's helpful. I don't know why, you know, I think we need to let our brain, have a rest and go into different because the creative thing, it's like if we're always in that whatever if it's the right side
Yeah,
or the left side, that's like that logical side, I feel like that can get really boring, right? We need to be exploring that creative side that's like anything's possible, like unicorns,
Yes,
fairies,
yes.
like
I know, I agree. My husband asked, like, why I like to watch or listen to the murder cases and things, and
Mhm,
for me, even though that's real life, for me, it's more like that
mm,
investigative piece. It really gets my
mhm.
creative juices going,
Yeah.
and I think reading in particular, so, like, reading is so important for kids growing up, right? Adults reading to kids, like,
Mhm,
it's so shockingly
mhm,
important.
mhm.
Um, and so I
Yeah,
feel like if that's the case for kids, I'm sure it's the same for
yeah,
adults. I feel like you grow as a person and your brain expands the more
yeah,
you read, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. I think just the art of
mhm,
reading is helpful.
yeah,
But like my daughter
yeah.
will listen to Audible in one ear while she's momming so that she can also do
Right.
some reading without actually physically having
Yeah,
to read. So there's
yeah,
ways to do it. I think the whole
yeah,
point is finding something that gives you takes you out of the work, period.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the other 2 things that for me are big are walking as well. Walking, I get great ideas, and then taking
Ugh,
vacation. I mean, I just need to put it out there, like, that's when I get the best ideas that are ever like, they just pop up, and it's why? Because I've just relaxed. My brain is relaxed.
I will agree with you on that. For me, yes, walking. I don't walk as much as I should. But the other thing that also gets me because my daughter moved where my son lives about 2.5 hours away from me. And so I go once a week still to visit my grandkids on Tuesdays. And so for
Right.
me, sometimes I will not listen to a book. I will have that silence and that forced
Mm,
silence, which is like walking or whatever else, is
mhm.
is
Yeah.
amazing. I have to, like, take my phone and do, like, a audio recording of my ideas because I don't
Mhm.
wanna forget
Yeah.
them, right? Like, I figured out a whole new service
Wow.
offering, and I got that last week from going up on Thursday
Right.
for trick or treating. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I also found driving I mean, I was just laughing, I think I shared this on my podcast, how, like, driving in Argentina was very stressful when I first because I started taking I knew how to drive before when I came here, but I didn't know stick, right? So I had to learn manual, blah, 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 and it was very stressful. Now, it's relaxing, like, when I get on the highway, obviously, I have to be alert, and obviously in rush hour, I'm not talking about rush hour, I'm talking about when there's a few cars with you, but you've got some space.
Safety first.
It's it's relaxing, like, it's like I kinda like you see the landscape and your brain starts to just go places and you start to think, and I agree with you, I've gotten some good ideas on those car rides. Sometimes I like to listen to things in the car, but I try to just allow my brain to just go and, like, the road keeps going. There's something there must be some
There
science behind
is,
it,
you
right?
know
Like
there is, and I'm discovering it now that I'm driving so much each week. I'm discovering
Yes.
more of it, and it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and I don't like silence. I
Mm.
like lots of noise. I'm used to my house being
Mm.
filled with,
Yeah.
4 kids. It's never a dull moment, and
Right.
now that I mean, my 24-year-old still lives with us, but really we're empty nesters if we're being honest, right? So, that
Mm.
drive, like, forcing myself to have some silence
Mhm.
is helpful. The other thing that my husband and I have been trying to do is turn off the TV and then we go to bed, and
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
painful. I love falling asleep to the TV,
Mm.
but then my brain is listening
Yeah.
to whatever comes on, and I don't want that stuff in
Yeah.
my head if it's not something that
Yeah.
I whatever it is, right? So,
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
are experimenting this week, in fact, with
Yeah.
turning the TV off, and it's uncomfortable, but guess what? We're having so many amazing conversations that I don't think we would
Yes.
have if we weren't sitting in silence.
Totally. Yeah. No, I think we need to have a whole other episode on, like, on creating space and the whole digital because we have so many devices now. We have our phones, we have our computers, we have our, like, watches. Everybody's, like, beeping at us, and we need to protect our space, our whatever brain space, our private space, if you wanna say, because that, again, is sacred, and the devices will always be there. So, anyway, consciously creating that is important.
And we would love to hear what helps you guys relax or motivates you or get your creative juices flowing. So we would love for you to
Yes.
go to a Marketing Duo podcast on Instagram and comment and let us know, because we really, really want to make sure that we're helping. And if you add some ideas in there, other people will add ideas in there, and then we'll have a whole list in there with things that you can
Yeah.
try if you haven't tried some of them.
Yeah, so good. So many good ideas. Sometimes there's things like what you were saying about the reading, like, it really inspired me, like, there's so many ways to read, right? There's
Wild.
it's great.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Cynthia.
Thank you. Bye.